Okay. Performance evaluation process. Dr. Austin is my boss at the Department of Management and Marketing. She's the chair. We recently had our performance evaluation. And she sat down with me with a piece of paper where I had to fill it out first, putting information, the particular categories for which we're held accountable. And she went through those and she would explain, this is what's required and this is what you've got. And she would say that here's some suggestions, you're fine for right now, but here's some suggestions for the future that you may want to think about. And she asked me at the end if I had any questions or any suggestions. Which one of these categories do you think that is? Okay, it's probably, where is it? Back up here, evaluative descriptive, right? The approach that I would say she used is very descriptive. Not right away going, you know what, she didn't say you're doing an excellent job. She didn't say that. She didn't say you're doing a really poor job. She just kind of went through the categories and described what was required and described where I was. And there was nothing, I met expectations, and she would explain I don't have any, these are the categories by which I can check. And so it was a process that I would say I did not get defensive with at all. Her approach often is one that doesn't, in me at least, does not cause defensive responses. Okay, let's see if I've got, what about a lot of companies are having to do layoffs. And I would guess that those places that are having to do layoffs, sometimes it's communicated in a way such that at Yahoo we're going to let off 3,000 employees. And that's just the way it's going to be. In that situation, you're probably sitting there going, oh my goodness, is it me? Am I going to lose my job? Would that be a control problem orientation situation? I guess I'm saying I think it could be. Because what's a different way that they could approach that? Using the problem orientation approach, you could say, our revenue is significantly down and we're going to have to come up with this amount of money. That's our problem. And it could be that we are going to work together to figure out how we're going to come up with that money. One of the possibilities is to look at employee layoffs, but there may be many other things. In that situation, right, it hasn't been decided yet. And you don't get defensive. Hopefully you get very creative about how you can work together to accomplish that. Also wanted to mention, right, there are just some words that are very charged that get from us a defensive response. So whether someone calls you a liberal, the L word, or someone calls you conservative, the C word, depending on where you are on that spectrum, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, and it could cause you to have a response and get angry about it. Can you think of other words that are very charged in that way? Maybe redneck, maybe abortion, maybe choice, maybe, I don't know, southerner, northerner. There are lots of words that are more the stereotypes, and we'll have some articles that deal with that. But because of that, you get defensive and you quit listening to what's trying to be communicated. So as we close here, I have, I guess, 2 questions to leave you with to think about. One, think about this information in terms of how you respond to particular words or situations that may cause a defensive response in you. Okay, if you think about those situations, analyze them a little further, and what can you do to keep yourself from having that degree of response so you can still take part in the communication process. So maybe that's not at certain times of the year being around a particular coworker that really gets under your skin. Or maybe that's at a particular time of year you're more stressed than others, and so you need to work in a personal day off. You need to exercise more if you know that that's a way to help you relieve stress. So a part of it, I guess, is a responsibility on our part to manage the communication process and think about those things. Also, I would challenge you to think about if there's someone at work who really gets under your skin and you don't communicate well with, think about the value that that person has in terms of, I guess, diversity. We read an article later about how people being very different from us and weird and strange actually helps creativity. And so maybe there are just people that, right, are opposite from us, different. We have nothing in common. And so it's hard to want to hang out with that person or sit by them at the board meeting. But I just challenge you to think about it in a more constructive way, and see how you can uncharge situations that could cause you to have an emotional response. Also, I want you to think about, related to this whole module about collaboration and teamwork, is in the online virtual environment, is defensive communication different? Are there different things that cause us to have a defensive response? Is the communication less clear because we don't have the nonverbal to make it more clear, as Ms. Colvin talks about in her article? Are you quicker to have a response? Are you quicker to send off an email or make a post when you're emotional than you would be to say something one-on-one, face-to-face? Or are you not? Do you know that it'll be there forever, and so you're less likely to have an emotional response? So I just wonder about those things, and hope you wonder too as we go through this course, and look forward to talking to you more about them on the discussion board. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will, I guess, be talking to you through the keyboard later. Thanks.